Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakal Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about Esau's enterprise being exposed. And namely, we're going to focus on the UN, the United Nations, and its connections to the Lucius Trust organization, which was tied to the occult schools of ancient times, basically witchcraft and wizardry. But before we get into that, let's read this. This is Isaiah 29 and 15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and the works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? And right here, this is talking about the wicked that rule the world currently. The world knows these people as the 1%ers, the bankers, right, the elites. The biblical reference to them is the nation of Edom, right, the so-called Caucasian race, and namely those of the very top echelon of the Edomite nation, right? Because you see your average Edomite, everyday person on the street, your neighbors, your co-workers, they have no idea about this. They themselves have been thrown into the meat grinder by their kings and their nobles. This is what we're seeing right now in the world, is the elites, the kings of Edom, are basically taking their possession of the world, and they're trying to run with it so they can continue their ownership forever. Now, in this video we're going to watch, it pretty much explains how Esau has managed, recent history I should say, to bring forth his enterprise. And what is that enterprise? Well, it is world domination, right? It's his attempt on taking over rulership over the entire world in a socialist, communist, satanic, worshiping world system, right? And don't take my word for it. Let's go ahead and read a quote from one of Esau's top generals in this battle. All right, this is David Spangler. He's a top UN official, right? He says, no one will enter the New World Order unless he or she will make a pledge to worship Lucifer. No one will enter the New Age unless he will take a Luciferian initiation. Now, let's go and watch this video and see the system which these devils have set up.
In the traditional motion picture story, the villains are usually defeated. The ending is a happy one. I can make no such promise for the picture you're about to watch. The story isn't over. You and the audience are part of the conflict.
United Nations headquarters, which was built in 1945 and financed largely by John D. Rockefeller. Inside UN headquarters is an ominous meditation room. The custodian of the meditation room is Lucis Trust Company. At one time, the Lucis Trust was located at 666 United Nations Plaza and was formerly named Lucifer Publishing Company. The Rockefeller-funded UN meditation room is 33 feet long and 18 feet wide. 18 feet is 6 plus 6 plus 6. The small, dimly lit, windowless room was built in the shape of a pyramid that is laying on its side. At the center of the room is a 4-foot-high, black, casket-shaped stone slab which weighs 6.5 tons and is extremely magnetic and rests on a concrete pillar. The pillar descends beneath the floor into the bedrock and taps into the Earth's hyperdimensional energies to induce a state of altered consciousness. Not far from the meditation room is the United Nations Security Council chamber. This is the emergency room of the UN, where the world leaders meet when there is a threat to peace. They decide the fate of nations. Notice the giant mural that towers over the Security Council room. The central focus of the UN mural is the phoenix bird that has risen. The phoenix bird is a symbol of Lucifer. Egyptians believed that the phoenix symbolized a god who rose to heaven in the form of a morning star like Lucifer after his fire immolation of death and rebirth. Notice that the phoenix bird is not standing above his own ashes. He is standing above his old skin. Like a snake, he has shed his old skin and is revealing himself as God at the center of the mural. At the top left, there is a church steeple without a cross. The missing cross symbolizes the death of Christianity. Below, a woman receives the rays of the sun god, while the man in front of her plays Pan's flute. To their right are two pyramid symbols and people joined together by a long blue serpent-like claw. Below the risen phoenix, a sword is driven through a dragon beast. This represents the killing of old beliefs and religions that depicted Lucifer as a beast. The New World religion worships him as beautiful. Behind the phoenix, the ghostly figures of the walking dead are stepping into a void. They symbolize depopulation. On the right panel, the pale horse from the book of Revelation is the bringer of death to humanity through weapons, hunger, and disease. The man is releasing him. The chained black man represents slavery, while the top panel of the mural shows a technologically advanced white race who control industry, art, and science. In this post-apocalyptic mural, the military man standing on the tail of the beast represents worldwide military power. He tips his helmet to the elite, who are climbing out from underground cities where they safely hid from the apocalypse. In the main oval panel above the phoenix bird, a woman is holding flowers. She is the bride in a wedding ceremony. Could the newlyweds symbolize William and Kate? The serpent in human form is tempting the little girl Eve, who accepts the apple. On the right side of the top panel, a reptilian green creature with scaly skin is dancing with a naked woman while musicians entertain him. The general message of the UN's Phoenix Rising mural is that humanity is stepping into a new Luciferic reality. Beneath this disturbingly prophetic mural, world leaders make global decisions that affect the lives of nearly 7 billion people.
Guido von List believed in renouncing Christianity and returning to the pagan religions of the ancient Europeans. And Hitler himself is quoted as saying, "The old beliefs will be brought back again. The whole secret knowledge of nature, of the divine, of the demonic. We will wash off the Christian veneer and bring out a religion peculiar to our race." As he said in his own words, the destruction of Christianity. This was the same aim of Madame Blavatsky and her Theosophical Society. And it was also the same aim of Madame Blavatsky's occult successor, Alice A. Bailey, the founder of Lucis Trust, an occult organization that currently has its headquarters within the United Nations. The objectives of this organization, Lucis Trust, have been codified and embodied in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in the United Nations Charter. Alice A. Bailey, the founder of the occult organization Lucis Trust, developed 10 strategies to establish a new world order. These strategies are, number 1, push God out of the schools. If the people grow up without reference to God, then they will consider God irrelevant to day-to-day life.
they know that they have to go after the very things that the Judeo-Christian tradition honors and values. Morality, belief in God, faith, the importance of family, the sanctity of life, the sanctity of marriage.
Number 2, break the traditional Judeo-Christian family concept. Break communication between parents and children so that parents can't pass on spiritual values to their children. Do this by pushing excessive child rights.
They are extremely anti-parent. It is an effort to get the children to abandon the values of their parents.
Through the propaganda they teach them, 7 hours a day for 13 years, and even longer if they attend college. We are losing most of our children to the other side because of the anti-American, anti-God, and anti-free enterprise rhetoric they are filled with in the government schools.
Number 3, remove restrictions on sex. Sex is the biggest joy, and Christianity robs people of this. People must be freed to enjoy it without restrictions.
But their game right now is to corrupt the 15 to 25-year-olds or less. And right now they're down in the first grade with Heather Has Two Mommies, Daddy's Roommate, Gay Pride Parade, and now by 8th grade they'll pass out condoms in school colors because that's so patriotic.
Number 4, since sex is the greatest expression of man's enjoyment of life, man must be free to express sex in all its forms. Homosexuality, orgies, even bestiality are desirable so long as no one is being abused or harmed.
We also see immorality being promoted through our schools. The kind of sex ed curriculum that is being used and paid for with our tax dollars would shock most parents.
Number 5, people must be free to abort unwanted children. If a man can have sex and then live without the consequences, then the same should be true for a woman too.
They are for the entire feminist agenda, starting with abortion on demand, tax-funded abortions.
Number 6, every person develops soul bonds. So when a soul bond wears out, a person must be free to divorce. When one starts to grow, one must be free to get together with that person, even if they are married.
Their entire purpose was to detach our culture from any moral anchors whatsoever.
Number 7, diffuse religious radicalism. Christianity says Jesus is the only way. Diffuse this by A, silencing Christianity, and B, promoting other faiths, the creation of interfaith harmony.
At its core, it's a rebellion against God and God's laws.
And that's what the battle is about. That's what the assault is on. That's why Christianity is a target.
Number 8, use the media to influence mass opinion. Create mass opinion that is receptive to these values by using TV, film, the press, etc. Note well, what Western believers call normal in the African church would be pornography.
They look at what holds society together, they understand it, but they don't want that. They want change, and they will subvert and rot every good and decent thing we believe in.
Number 9, debase art in all its forms. Corrupt music, painting, poetry, and every expression of the heart, and make it obscene, immoral, and occultic. Debase the arts in every way possible.
They've done everything in their power to dumb down our children, undermine our families, rewrite our history, and promote obscenity and immorality everywhere that they can.
And number 10, get the church to endorse every one of these 9 strategies. Get the church to accept these principles and to say they're okay. then legal ground is given for these values to get a foothold.
It wasn't until I was watching an old film from World War II that I realized what the left has been doing in America to pit the poor against the rich, blacks against whites, and the young against the old is the same tactic Hitler used to disunify Germany.
You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it, and it isn't going to be you.
This is Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. So, as we just watched, Esau's enterprise of bringing forth his New World Order through the UN system is being exposed, right? And those steps, which were explained in that video, you could see that every one of those steps are being pushed forward, right? From the open morals of society to the pushing of sex upon the youth, and all these different things are destroying this current society, right? Namely the part where it says that everything that's art, that comes from a creative mind, all these things from the past are being destroyed. And we're seeing that with all these movies being recreated, right? And then basically being destroyed with woke trash, right? This is why all these things are being done. It's not because they want to bring Indiana Jones back or Star Wars back or Willow or all these, old TV shows that everybody loved. No, the reason why they're doing it is because they got to take these old artistic expressions and destroy them, right? So that way, when they come forward with this new system, you'll have nothing to lean back on. You won't be able to go back and say the good old days, right? Because the good old days will no longer be a thing, right? It'll be just all destroyed. And as you can see here, the NATO system is in fact spoken about in the Bible. In Revelations 17, when it talks about the great whore that rideth upon the beast with 7 heads. That beast with 7 heads and the whore is actually NATO, okay? The North Atlantic Trade Organization, which the UN is part of, okay? And the UN, when you look into it, it goes back to the signing of the Treaties of Rome, which happened in March 25th, 1957, right? Here's the actual video showing the event where the treaty was signed by these 6 nations, right? I think even the 7th nation was Britain. But the point being is that this was signed over in Rome, right? And it basically created the ECC, the European, what is it? The ECC, the European, or the EEC, excuse me, the European Economic Council, okay? And this is ultimately was the forefather of the United Nations infrastructure that we see in the world today. Okay, this is the beast being reborn and brought forth, right? This is the 4th beast described in Daniel, right? Which received that deadly wound but lived, right? And it came back to life. And this is right here, as you're seeing it being brought back by these devils, okay? And from this would set up the apparatus which Esau would use to slowly take over the world by including other nations, right? Recently what happened is what Apostle Tahar mentioned, that Ukraine was included or brought into the UN, right? Which is about to be ratified. And when that happens, that's going to basically give Russia all the reason it needs to basically bring on the World War III, because again, Ukraine is right at the border, okay? But again, these are all the things that the Bible has prophesied would happen. Again, now that we've been made aware of this because the Lord has revealed it to us, we now see that all these prophecies are coming to pass. This is Job 20 and 23. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. And you see, the wicked of this world, the elites, the 1%ers, the kings of Edom, right? These are just some of them that are, that, and a lot of them here on this list are actually dead already. Thank riddance. But the thing is that this is only a small portion of those who actually are at the top seat of Esau's table, right? And one of them, as you just seen here, is this organization here called Lucius Trust. You see, but Lucius Trust, it's not just one, demonic, evil organization. No, it's the entire system, right? It's all these systems and corporations and political powers and influencers, I guess you could say, that have a hand in this. And why is that? Well, because this is all the enterprise that Esau, these Edomites, have put together to control, rule, and maneuver the world to its will, right? And they're about to seal the deal, right? They're about to bring forth this new world order and basically enslave everybody forever. But again, what did the Bible say? Right? What did that scripture just say? That when he is about to fill his belly, then shall the Lord strike him through, right? And what's that talking about? Well, that's talking about the nuclear missiles that are going to be shot off by all these other nations who are standing up against America and NATO, okay? Because World War III is going to happen. It is biblical. That is the biblical Armageddon. And Esau, these Edomites, they're not going to survive it. They're actually going to go down. You see, what's happening right now is that the Lord is putting the wicked into a trap, right? He's setting them up in a way where he's making them think that they could actually succeed. But in fact, what he's doing is he's setting them into a situation where they're basically going to, cut off their nose to spite their face, right? They're pretty much going to try to, go forward with this world depopulation to bring forward this new world order, which in the video, it explained this mural, which is, in the UN building. Right here is the actual seats of the UN, and here's that mural, right? See, Esau's hoping to bring forward this new world order where he's going to reign forever, right? And then if that was to happen, right? If Esau was allowed to come out of the rocks, right, as you can see here in the left side and on the right side here, dwelling, hiding in the rocks, right, with Jake, right? Jake and the Israelites in captivity, right? The pale horse here. See, Esau would go on to create something akin to the Dune movie series, and where Edomites control and have destroyed the entire universe, right? But again, that ain't going to happen because why? Well, because the Lord is going to destroy these Edomites, right? He's going to bring them down, and he's only going to let them taste what the success of their plans would have been. This is Job 5 and 12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So what's going to happen is that though these devils are going to try to bring forth the MOTB, they're going to bring forth their digital currency and the CBDC and all these new systems, right? They're going to appear to be winning. The Lord's going to go ahead and throw a monkey wrench into their plans, and little by little you're going to start seeing the system collapse in a way where Esau's not going to be able to save it, right? What does it tell you in Job as well? It says that terror shall make him afraid on every side, and he shall rise to his feet, and that the hands of the wicked shall fall upon him. Meaning that as he's going along and bringing forward this new world order system, ultimately there's going to be a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a lot of sedition and rising up against the powers that be by the people, right? As the scripture says, the wicked, which when you get into that word, the wicked, it means the laborers in that particular scripture, that is, right? So the people are going to rise up against these Edomites and basically devastate their agenda. Just look at what's happening right now in France with all those riots, right? And I think over in the Netherlands, is it Netherlands or I think it's Italy? I think it might be Italy, but right now, but over there in the European Union, you have farmers protesting with their tractors to protest the killing off of 200,000 cows or something like that, right? Because again, these devils are trying to depopulate and destroy the food system. But again, people are starting to rise up. Hence, they're not going to be able to perform their enterprises. And ultimately, it's going to lead to this. This is Obadiah 1:10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Right? And thy brother Jacob is referring to the Negro, Latino, Native Americans. Because when you look throughout our history, going all the way back to when we were in the land of Israel, the nation of Edom, the Caucasian race, has always been an adversary to us, right? Even in the latter-day captivities that we went through, the Latinos, we were destroyed by the Europeans that came over here, the Dutch, the German, the other Europeans, right? That destroyed us and put us in hard bondage and took us over the Atlantic Ocean to Europe as slaves, right? And then later, when they wore us out, when they had decimated our numbers and they had killed off about 80% of us, they needed to replace us. So what did they do? They went to the west coast of Africa and brought over our brothers, the southern kingdom of Israel, right? And again, that was all prophecy according to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, that the Lord would bring both the southern and the northern kingdom over here to the Americas, where we would wait here in captivity until the latter end when the Lord would come and free us. And in that time, he would also wake us up so that way we could be ready and we could be awakened before the second coming of the Messiah, right? So that way we could get right and be able to stand in that day. But again, the person that's not going to be able to stand are these Edomites. And why is that? Well, because again, because of the violence that they've shown to us, their brother, right? Because again, the nation of Edom, the Caucasian race, is a close brother to the Negro, Latino, Native Americans. We are of the same stock, right? We come from the same forefather, Isaac, right? And the problem is that they disregarded that, right? They hated us because of the plan and the destiny that we had, for us, that the Lord set up. But again, this is just the way things are destined to happen. And just as we are going to move on to glory, these Edomites are going to move on to perdition, to destruction, and their ultimate end, which they shall be cut off forever. So hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rakal, Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.